Fishy, fishy, fishy!
What's going on, fishy friends? Rich here with a quick little fish room update, taking a look at the discus tank. One of the discus tanks. This is the tank that I started treating with Furion 2 about 2 weeks ago now is when I began the treatment. That discus in the back corner is the one that I've been concerned about. He's not going to cooperate and show me now, but you can see that gill on the left is pumping away furiously, and I don't know if you can tell, but the right gill isn't pumping at all, essentially. Now, I've done 2 complete treatments of the Furion 2, and finished up last night with a big water change, so now the tank is, reset, so to say, and back to where it was before I began the treatments. And I'm concerned because when I began the Furion 2 treatment, the first of the 2 consecutive treatments I did, I thought I was noticing a big improvement almost immediately in that fish. The gill on the right side of its body started operating as normal, and I thought that was probably a result of the medication and finally choosing the right antibiotic and potentially getting at the source of the problem here. Now we've completed 2 full treatments, and I don't know, he looks just as bad as he did when we began here, and I'm still not exactly sure what's going on. So, as I had indicated, I am going to continue treating with yet other medicines as well. I'm not sure which one I'm going to try next. I've got a few different ones to be used. I don't like mixing all too many at once. There's certain meds that can be mixed and certain meds that can't. But I'm going to continue treating with some other stuff and see what's what. What else? Last time I had talked about the angelfish tank, I had moved one more over to here. I had been concerned about him for a little while. I didn't think he was transitioning well, but there he is. He's doing real well in this tank. He is definitely the biggest fish in this tank, but oddly enough, he doesn't seem to be the tank boss. Maybe yet, maybe not ever, who knows. The female red Turk that I moved down here with the other 2 discus, she's doing well. The 3 of them seem to be getting along pretty good. The 2 big ones, one of those 2, I'm not even sure which one's which anymore. I'd have to go back and double check on the markings on the fish. I think that one on the left is the female out of the breeding pair. Nope, the way that one's picking on the little one, I'm not so sure. Anyway, the 2 large ones seem to be, trying to dominate the little guy, which I suppose isn't all that surprising. And as some viewers have pointed out, 3 discus is not a proper grouping of discus. They should be in a much larger group, or if you're going to keep only 2 discus, it should be a breeding pair, and then 2 alone is fine. 3 is not a correct number to keep. It's not a correct number to keep here. It's not a correct number to keep over here in this tank. But do as I say, not as I do, right? I know it's a mistake. I know I shouldn't be doing it this way. But I don't want to mix these 3 fish in with the 3 fish behind me right now because of the issue I'm having in this tank. I don't want to potentially spread any disease. And the only other discus I currently have are my 7 juvie tiger turks, and I want to keep them in their grow out tank alone and don't want to mix them in with these fish yet. So, what else can we talk about in the fish room? The cherry shrimp in the tetra tank are doing really well. Cherry shrimp in the cherry shrimp tank are doing really well. There they are feeding in the dish back there right now. The Epistogramma trifasciata are doing really well. The endlers are doing really well. The Epistogramma cockatoides, the supposed triple reds down here, starting to see the tiniest bit of color on the tail on that fish. It's not even showing up on camera. But it's still not the striking color I expect from a triple red cockatoides. But they're still young. These were the fish that I got as fry from, as juveniles from Ted Judy, and I would have characterized them as essentially fry. They were super tiny. So I don't know what to think about that. The tiger turks, like I talked about recently, seem to be nowhere near as timid as they used to be once I put that new light over the tank. So they're doing well. Pair of red covers, everything's pretty status quo up there. I had what looked to be some breeding activity from them the other day, but nothing progressed from there. Let's see. So other than that, what have we been doing in the fish room? Let's turn on a light or 2. One more light over this way. And over here, I've started, started trying to make some room to do some arrangements. I've talked recently about trying to set up an automatic water change system. It's been in my head for quite some time, something I want to do. I've been talking with Mike from Michael's Fish Room. He's trying to attempt something similar in his fish room. If anybody remembers, over here in this corner, you see this group of shelves I have over here, these cubbies. There was a similar group over here on the right, so I took down the whole shelf and I moved it all the way down over to here. It's this cubby on the left that ends here, so from there to there. So this fit perfectly over here. You know, there's a matter of inches to spare. I've been rearranging some other things. I've been cleaning up what was piles of crap over here, and now at least have some shelving systems over here. And ideally, I'm hoping I could potentially fit a few more tanks into the fish room at some point, probably fit them over here. But I'm talking in circles now. So I don't want to start working on the auto water change system until I can say for sure that I am done cramming tanks into this room. I don't want to spend a lot of time working on that system only to decide, well, geez, I'm going to add more tanks and now I got to revamp that system. So besides the auto water change system, I also want to work on trying to heat this room. The multiple tanks in this room are all using heaters in each individual tank. Now the room does stay relatively warm. I've made some effort to insulate each tank and to insulate the room in general, and you know, and that definitely helps, but I can definitely cut down on some of the costs incurred by potentially heating the room instead of the tanks. Because of the layout of this room, because of how narrow some of the things are, it's going to be tricky. I don't really have access to get behind the tanks and add in a baseboard heating system the way I'd like to. I do use baseboard heating in the rest of the house, and what I'm going to end up having to do is add a zone to my boiler, no matter what route I choose. I've been kicking around a few different ideas. I've been trying to talk to people smarter than me. I've thought of doing a heat exchanger system, like a shell and tube heat exchanger. I've thought about doing a ventless gas heater down here. Ventless gas heaters still worry me a little bit, and it seems more and more, the more research I do, I'm hearing more and more from professionals that, you know, while they're safe, it's not a route that they would choose to do in their own home. The potential for carbon monoxide poisoning is high. The potential for oversaturating a room with carbon dioxide is high. It's risks that I just would rather not try to take right now. So that leaves me with some other form of a heater. I don't want to do an oil-filled electric heater because the whole idea is to cut back on the electric cost, and that leaves me with a couple of different options, all of which probably relate to adding a zone onto the boiler. If I do a shell and tube heat exchanger, I would have to do that, but a shell and tube heat exchanger might not be the easiest choice for what I'm trying to do. Then I looked into toe kick heaters, I think they're called. They're essentially a heater that hooks up to your gas boiler and has a fan in it, you know, and can circulate some air. But what I've been thinking even more recently is if I can take down the rest of the shelf, take down this wall here, that gives me a couple of extra inches to potentially get some tanks this way. But once I get this wall down here, I might have the ability to get behind the bow front tank here, do a baseboard down low here, and have it extend behind the bow front tank, and or maybe just behind the bow front tank. I have a couple inches of space back there. I think I have the real estate behind the tanks here. The problem is I don't have the ability to get back there. So while a baseboard heater would actually fit, I can't crawl back there and install it. But if I can get this wall out of my way, I might be able to do all that installation from over here, and then I'll also have this wall free once I take down this shelf. Anybody that's been following along for a long time might remember for a little while I had a rack with two 29-gallon tanks here, but let's see, can we see? There's my staircase and my railing. It was just too cumbersome coming down the stairs and having a tank right there, especially with this curtain here, because the tank was hidden and you couldn't see it when you were coming down the stairs, and essentially you knocked into it. It was just a dangerous scenario. So I've slowly but surely been rearranging some of my supplies. This used to be filled with a lot more crap than what's on it now. You can see I have a lot of these empty cubbies here. And for the most part, this shelving system here and the other one that I said I moved over here basically just contain the various crap that I need in the fish room basis. I won't say in the fish room basis. In the fish room, I won't say it's stuff that I need on a daily basis. A lot of it was I keep my food in there. You know, things like my tools, you know, tweezers that I use for the planted tanks, scissors, various different scissors that I use to trim planted tanks. There's a bunch of liquid fertilizer down there, test kits, hydrogen peroxide, you know, mag flow cleaners, worm feeders, you know, shrimp mineral, anything and everything that I've accumulated in the fish room just kind of, you know, goes into these cubbies here, as well as into various tucker totes, I call these things. Big plastic boxes, you know, that gets a lot of stuff. This is a big thing of matrix and fish feeders and, you know, various stuff that you tend to accumulate. So I do need to figure out where everything's going to go. Some of it's over here on this new shelf in front of the door. I got the dehumidifier moved up onto the shelf in front of the door here, so that's saving a little more space. And I'm just kind of trying to work all that out in my head, so then I can really devote some time to that auto water change system, which I still don't have that fully figured out yet either. So, I'm rambling, I don't have any goal or intent in mind, and I guess that means it's a good spot to end the video. Alright guys, comment, rate, subscribe. I don't know what day I'm going to get this out, but probably going to be on or around Thanksgiving. So, happy Turkey Day to anybody that celebrates. Happy Thursday to everybody else, and I will talk to everybody later.